The ashes of another PC they just cremated. Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/D&D to check out the answers to one of my players ate the eye of Vecna. What weird things have your players eaten? Now, following up on the post author's meal, we have these comments. Out of curiosity, what did you decide happened to that player? I'm running a Vecna campaign for my group, and one player who may be joining later is chaotic enough to try something like that. Then the author replied, the PC became an avatar for Vecna to enter the material plane temporarily, during which he destroyed the city they were in with a meteor swarm. Honestly, it worked out pretty good, because that was the player's last session with us, and he thought it was great, and the party had a lot of fun with it. Look, I'm glad it turned out to be fun and you had a great time, but players, please don't eat anything related to Vecna, or really any BBEG. I had a player eat an Ioun Stone to see if it would activate when they pooped. Many people in the comments were curious to know if it did indeed activate, and they said it did. The conditions were pretty clear about holding it for a short period of time before tossing or dropping it. I figured holding it in your gut counts. Note though, this does not work after 3.5, because technically in 5th edition, the Ioun Stones you have to throw up into the air and then they circle around your head instead of just dropping them on the ground, but you know, semantics. Other than corpses, oh, that's a strong start. Mostly things I've told them explicitly not to eat, like cursed swords, books filled with ancient secrets, magical gems, and the such. Then this reply, that's on you though. If you say don't eat the cursed sword of misfortune, of course I'm gonna eat the cursed sword of misfortune. You know, I gotta agree with the reply here. The second you tell your players not to do something, that's all they're gonna wanna do. They're just children. The DM assigned my human Great Old One Warlock character a random secret. Turns out I was a cannibal that ate his old friends. So he spent about 14 sessions secretly eating everything we killed. Had a pouch that was always wet with fresh blood, and he nibbled raw hunks of meat out of it and offered them to animals. He's a big bad in our 3-year campaign now. Gee, I wonder if there was any potential indicator that he could have been a big bad. The ashes of another PC they just cremated. That was a fun game. Moving on. I've talked about it elsewhere, but in Curse of Strahd, a player ate a certain named night hag and later realized she'd also swallowed the hag's heart stone. She made a decent con save, so I ruled that she was immune to disease. A few levels later, the player returned to the hag coven and demanded the remaining 2 hags surrender their stones as well. Big shocker, she swallowed those too. After a fantastic con save, I ruled that the 3 heart stones triforced together in her gut, and she could now see and attack creatures in the ethereal plane. Honestly, that one, I like that one. It's odd, they're eating heart stones, but I think it's a cool effect to come from it. Wasn't a player I ran for, but played with, who would use create food and water to make drugs. Of course, why not? 9 times out of 10, he'd trip major balls. Yeah, he's creating magical drugs. That's what happens when you create drugs of any kind. At the first D&D session I ever played, I had my character eat a Gelatinous Cube. You guys are killing me. It was a 2E pre-generated module with pre-generated characters. The cube was described to me as looking like a cube of Jello, and D&D was described to me as a game where you can do whatever you want. So 7th grade me figured that this was the natural course of action to take. Poor Tordek the Dwarf was put into a coma for a week as a consequence. You're lucky Tordek the Dwarf only got put into a coma. Those things are highly acidic. Probably not good for your pH balance or whatever the hell that is. A bunch of magic sap that gave them the ability to photosynthesis, but turned their skin permanently green. Why is that like a downside? Permanently green skin, whatever, roleplay Shrek. But photosynthesis, just heal by being in the sunlight? That's a solid boost. I had a player eat phase spider legs once. He was constantly looking for disgusting things to eat, and this was one of the worst ones. It was the slurping descriptors that got me, ruined crab legs for me for a bit. You had to mention crab. You had to mention the crab legs bit, because now that's in my head. You know what sounds good right now? Looking at things that are actually meant to be eaten. Which is why I'd like to point you towards the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server, because not only do we have a special tavern menu that you can pop into any of your games in there for free, but there's also a channel dedicated to food picks, and we have some talented chefs in there. So swing by using the link in the description and check out the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server. I had a high-con barbarian eat everything non-humanoid that she killed. Thank you for specifying non-humanoid, that's a benefit over some of the others. My DM made me do a con save, and if it was a particularly magical creature, there could be disastrous effects on a fail, which I never did. I convinced the party sorcerer to eat some red dragon that we had killed. He failed his con save and promptly exploded. He got better, but we needed to burn a scroll of true resurrection. Yeah, that's a great story. Oh, I heard you got a scroll of true resurrection. Oh yeah, we don't have that anymore. Oh, what? Why not? Well, the sorcerer ate some raw red dragon, so he exploded. You know, the usual. We were wrapping up a short trial campaign before going into the longer one, and we only had about 2 or 3 sessions left. We found these bags with glowing stuff in it. Each member of the party took one. They realized they were trapped spirits and let them go. Before I knew that, I said, I eat it. My DM looked at me and went, really? Well, next session it turns out I was possessed by a spirit and had to roleplay as a chaotic evil character waiting for his opportunity to get away from the group. If he, the DM, didn't beat me unconscious and have the spirit leave, my PC would have left by the end of the session, never to return, LOL. I know you mean in the game, but I for a split second thought you were saying that after telling your DM that you ate the spirit, that he just got up and beat you unconscious. And honestly, I can't blame him. I may have referenced this one before, but I guess this is the perfect time for the full story. I have a player in my pirate game who, for some reason, licks things. In-game, not at the table, but I honestly wouldn't put it past him. Well, the party had just entered an ancient dwarven temple and were looking for treasure. They noticed on the way through that there were various other treasure hunters' bodies on the ground, and nearby were broken dwarven statues made of stone. Well, cut to them finding a room that seems to be untouched, and they see 2 large dwarven statues, but these ones are solid gold. The player says, I go over to one and lick it. The table asks why. Well, to see if it's real gold. That's not how, whatever. So they went over and licked a statue. An odd taste and texture coated their tongue as very thin gold leaf plating came off of the statue. Under the gold leaf was the same solid stone that the broken statues were made of. The statue quickly came to life, the gold leaf falling to the ground as it moved and shook it off. That fight was decently tough since they were like level 3, but they made it out alive. The statues were there to be guardians of the temple and wealth, and a sort of honeypot for potential thieves. A thief would go up to investigate what appeared to be a solid gold statue, and as soon as they touched it, the gold leaf would fall off and the golem would awaken. They quickly learned, however, that they could easily avoid the statues by just not touching them. However, when they had cleared the temple out and were leaving, they spotted another gold statue, this time holding out a gold dagger. This character loves daggers, so they went to get a closer look, and I'm not sure why we were surprised when the player said, I lick it again. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and swing by the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server to order a real meal, a healthy meal made of real things and not being cannibalism or eating the eye of Vecna. Please, for the love of God, don't eat the eye of Vecna. The tavern menu that we have in the Discord server is available in PNG and PDF format, so you can easily download it and just pop it into your games for whatever tavern your players come across. And I may be a little biased, but I think the menu's got some pretty good options on it. Anyway, thank you guys again, and I'll see all of you wonderful people in the next video. What is that? A chair? Get that out of your mouth!